Hey, this is Kevin from Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. If you want more information like you're about ready to see, go ahead and hit like and subscribe to support this independent podcast.
Miles Sanders, new addition to the running back room. He was running back 13 last year, 259 rush attempts, 1,269 yards, 11 touchdowns, 20 receptions, 26 targets, 78 yards, 0 touchdowns through the air. Thoughts on Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders has a chance to crack the top 12 because I do think he's going to see more passing work, right? The Eagles didn't throw the ball to running backs a whole heck of a lot, right? They had their RPOs, but if they were going to throw the ball to running back, Jalen Hurts really tucked the ball and run at that point. And I don't think you were going to see that in Carolina much this year. So I think he has the potential. We saw what Deonta Foreman did in Carolina last year. I think Miles Sanders is a better running back all the way around. So I do think that you can see him crack that top 12, and he is going late, like running backs wise. So he is a guy that if you're kind of going that traditional zero RB strategy, he is a guy that you're targeting, and I expect him to be an extreme value when we kind of do our season end recap. I think he's going to be one of those guys like, you know what, I'm glad I picked him up.
A lot of unknowns with Carolina, right? I mean, there are some knowns because we've seen what a Frank Reich coach team looks like with his 5 years in Indianapolis. 5 years? Yeah. 5 years there in Indianapolis. And you look at the teams that he's had and what they did, and realistically, they're kind of all over the place when it comes to the team ranks in terms of rushing and passing attempts and yards and all that. And realistically, what that says to me is Frank Reich is not a guy who is set in his ways, not a guy who says, this is how we're going to do things. Frank Reich is a guy who says, I'm going to use my strengths and we're going to utilize those. And, the year that they were second in rushing attempts, fifth in rushing attempts, there's a guy named Jonathan Taylor on the team, right? Like he understood that he had something there in terms of what he could do with Jonathan Taylor. And they weren't very good in passing. And the reason why, they didn't really have a great quarterback there. So I think he plays to what his team's strengths are. And so when you see that, you're gonna understand that he's going to take some time with Bryce Young and make sure that does get brought along. And so Miles Sanders will be the benefactor of that. So
He's coming off the board right now. I've seen him drop kind of all the way down to like 52. So you're talking beginning of the 5th round there. I've seen him go as high as 40. So you're talking kind of middle of the 3rd. That's tremendous value, whether you're getting him in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. That's a set it and forget it type of deal. I think it's very, very easy to expect him to come and really kind of deliver close to RB1 territory. I don't know that he quite gets there, but I think that we're going to see him be in that top half of RB2 at the worst case, right? Like I think running back 18 is probably his absolute floor